Hello, Saints. We're still talking about the book of Revelation. And in the introductory part, where he begins with the introductory scene about the seven churches, he begins there in verse 10 of chapter 1 that I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day. Now, we have talked about that within our own denomination and other people. I had one professor, a young professor, in our denomination say, yes, the Lord's day here is Sunday. And of course, we know what other parts of the debate is. No, it's the Lord's Day is Sabbath, the Saturday. How about if I told you it might not be either one of those? So please don't write me nasty letters. So what we look at is the work of Sam Bakioki. Now, to some people, Sam Bakioki, very conservative, professor at our seminary, some people found his work almost laughable. I'm talking about his body of work. He wrote the book From Sabbath to Sunday, published in 1977. That was his dissertation. And I always said that if he stopped writing that, he would have made a great contribution to the church, and that would have been his career. Maybe the problem with Bakioki is he kept writing books. I don't know. But in that book, he tells us, he boils us down to a few things about the emphasis of this. Quoting from my paper here for the class, it says the late Sam Bakioki, scholar of theology at Andrews University, argues that there are three factors that influenced the adoption of Sunday observance in early Christianity. Bakioki, from his book From Sabbath to Sunday, tells us one, he says the primacy of the Church of Rome. That was one of the big influences there. And you see that in his book, pages 165 to 212. Sun worship, pages 236 to 259. And anti-Judaism, pages 213 to 235. Anti-Judaism had to do with the persecution that's going on and the church wanting to separate itself from the Jews. This is the time when they were beginning to really fall, not just the destruction of the temple, but where they were actually exiled from Palestine. And so these are the issues that could have pushed for that, for those early things to include Sunday. However, in his book, he points out several different things that may have been a problem, and he boils it down to this. He uses Augustine in order to verify this, as well as his own research. Ranko Stevanovic, in his book, a commentary on Jesus, the revelation of Jesus there, he also mentions the same thing. Bakioki quotes Thomas Aquinas, in his Summa Theologica, where he says, in the new law, the observance of the Lord's Day took the place of the observance of the Sabbath, not by virtue of the precept, a Bible text, but by the institution of the church and the custom of Christian people. So he's making it contrast with Sabbath Sunday problems, not by precept, but by the force of the church itself. Whereas when Bakioki had begun to study it, he was looking at various parts of it and concluded that what he may have been looking at was not the Lord's day, but the day of the Lord. So what we think of is that those last days when Jesus really comes in and works at the closing days, the day of the Lord, not just the end times, but the actual time of the end. And so he was in the spirit of the Lord's day, and he compares this to what we see in chapter 4 of Revelation, that John was looking into the day when God would finish everything up and the consummation would be completed. He was in vision of the Lord's day. That is a future thing, and not necessarily had anything to do with Sabbath worship or Sunday worship. So is he right or wrong? I want you to turn to your studies, and the good thing is maybe check out Sam Bakioki's book, and it is available in PDF. Maybe look it up online. This is his published dissertation, and it's been a very influential one, and we've benefited from it as a denomination. Blessings.